I'm Aryeh Schwartz along with Rachel Galligan, and welcome to the Winsidr Show, where it's all about the W. All-Star break has come and gone. We're halfway into the WNBA season. What do we know? What are we looking forward to? And what happened at All-Star break? Our show, please consider joining our Patreon community, patreon.com/Winsidr. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. And don't forget to see our amazing staff's written content over at winsidr.com. That's winsidr.com. If you're looking for a fun way to enjoy the W, join us over on Playback for our W watch parties. Use the link playback.tv/Winsidr. That's playback.tv/Winsidr. It's free to sign up, and it really truly goes a long way in funding and supporting what we're doing here at Winsidr. Welcome back to the Winsidr Show. Glad to be here with my pal Hoff, as what's his name, Ryan Rucco always says for Rebecca Lobo. I kind of want to steal his line. Hall of Famer Rachel Galligan. Right. How's it going? I know you're exhausted. You're molding and shaping the next generation, the youth of women's basketball. So
man,
hat tip to you.
Yeah, busy time for me, but always finding ways to be in tune with the W and pay attention to what's going on. And obviously coming off All-Star break, there's a lot we can talk about. All-Star weekend in Las Vegas, it seemed like it was the place to be. We were talking about it a few days ago. We were like, we've got to at least connect every other one. And
yeah, we gotta start doing that.
Up and be there together, but I wasn't able to go this year. But yeah, like some major highlights we can talk about. First, let's talk about Sabrina. I mean, good Lord, 37-point performance. She only missed like 2 shots in the.
She missed 2 shots, and including the 2 4-point balls. She was just on another planet. Like, and I just felt bad for Sammy having to go after her.
Right, like
what do you do at that point?
That's a tough act to follow.
It was just like, why am I even shoot? Like, she missed 2 shots in her first like 6 or something. I was like, okay, well, what do I continue? Like, there was a point where you saw her. She was like, do I continue?
I would just start jacking them up, like between my legs, like just throwing.
So okay, I have such a bone to pick. All right, with the skills competition. I don't know if you saw this, but like the skills competition is the most ridiculous thing ever. You just have to attempt 3 shots from all the different points. Stupidest thing ever. So like the aces win. What?
It's Chelsea Gray and Plum won, right?
Yeah, it was the stupidest thing ever. A huge asterisk in my mind. Stupidest thing ever. Like, why you have a skills competition where you have to shoot a 3-pointer, but if you miss 3 shots, you can move on to the next thing? No, that's not a skills competition. If that is, like, just chuck the ball up. Like, what are we doing here?
I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't watch that. I don't.
And I'm going to be completely honest. I wish I was you. Moving on to the actual All-Star game. It was a lot of fun. Started off a little bit rough. Ends up 143-127. Team Stewart, not the team I expected to win, pulls off the victory. And Jewel Lloyd, 31 points, 9 points off what she was going for, 40 for her parents' 40th anniversary. Shout out to the Lloyd family celebrating it on the All-Star game. Shout out to Mama Lloyd.
Awesome.
Honestly, there was points where I totally forgot Nneka was even there. She played 20 minutes. Had 11 rebounds, 6 points. But it was truly the Jewel Lloyd show. I mean, Brittany Griner went off at one point. Got a dunk or 2 in. Kelsey Plum went crazy, scored 30 points.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's fun. Like, yeah. It's not a serious thing to me. Am I surprised that Jewel Lloyd got MVP? Absolutely not. I mean, look what she has to do night in and night out. I mean, at this point, she's in autopilot mode because of the way she's having to be used with Seattle this year, the shots she's taking. And so, I mean, she was my pick as a potential MVP candidate just because, again, the type of year she has to have and the volume of shots that she's getting up and the way she's making shots. So, I mean, yeah, congratulations to Jewel Lloyd. Very worthy right there. That's for sure.
The other big news besides All-Star this weekend, well, since we last have talked.
A lot's happened.
The
Good God.
A lot's happened. Phoenix Mercury. Well, James Wade. I don't know if we've talked about this. James Wade's gone. I think we haven't had. You and I haven't had an episode since
I
James Wade's
believe
gone.
it. Yeah, we haven't been on a wait, good Lord. Where is time?
Um.
I don't even know what day it is for me.
So
So
James Wade's gone. Whatever. We didn't
wild,
do a whole episode talk about that. We don't need. It's so far in the past. Like, look,
wild.
he's whatever. More pressing, more current. The Phoenix Mercury move on from Pittman. Pittman announces that he's retiring at the end of the season. This new guy's coming in from the Golden State Warriors. I love to see the W poaching people from the NBA. So that's cool. Exciting times. I mean, look, a new ownership group takes over in Phoenix. I think it got to a point where you needed some change, and not just in the coaching that we saw. They relieved Vanessa Nygaard. Also, we haven't had an episode since then, I guess. But so like cleaning house, I think is a positive, especially considering the fact they have talent. They have DT for 1 or 2 more years, but they need to build around BG. They need to decide or figure out if they can keep Skylar
Right.
and build forward
Yeah.
and stop looking back and living on the glory days of what Diana Taurasi has done and start trying to build the next dynasty.
I agree. I mean, it's completely, you hit the nail on the head. That's what this comes down to. I could go back and forth about Nygaard and just the circumstances in which she took over, the circumstances which they had to deal with Brittany Griner's situation in Russia, the Skylar Diggins, just drama, whatever that was, the friction there was unfortunate. I'm sure she'll land on her feet somewhere, but Phoenix, like, I mean, it's like we've been talking about this end of an era for like 3 years now, since Sandy got let go a couple years back. Now Nygaard had a super quick tenure. And now, like at some point, and I'm pretty sure I said this to somebody, but I don't know if it was on the show, but I was like, at some point, you got to step back and you got to look at the front office of this organization and really start to wonder, okay, directionally, like, where are we going here? Is whether Pittman retiring is valid, or if it's like a, kind of a time to go, we're going to retire type of thing. But like, cleaning house, fresh start. Like, you've got to be able to find a way to retain Skylar Diggins Smith. In my opinion, the future of the organization post Taurasi era, whenever that might be, it's got to be in the next couple of years, for goodness sake. But yeah, I mean, I think it's exciting for Phoenix. And then on top of that, to be able to add some news of Phoenix hosting an all-star game, I think that's really cool.
We'll be there.
Have they ever had an all-star game?
Maybe one. I mean, I feel like they've
go. I mean, Jesus, I don't know. I'd have to go back, but I mean, I lived in Phoenix, and I think that's a good timing, in my opinion. It's kind of a chance for this franchise to rebrand itself a little bit, new logo.
they need one bad.
Rebranding and just kind of a fresh new era in the Phoenix Mercury. I think is we're ready. We're at that point, being able to have an all-star game and showcase some of what the city has to offer and what the organization is doing, what new ownership is investing in.
So they had previously held it in 2000 and 2014.
Wow. Okay. 2014. I'm surprised we didn't remember that.
Honestly, yeah, but like they all blur.
It's been a while. I mean, that's 10 years.
No, I'm excited for it. We'll be there. We'll be getting some Chris Bianco pizza, you and me.
I've got to go. I mean, I went to.
It's not a question, Rachel. We're a year ahead. We're saying you and I are going. We're painting Phoenix orange, whatever they say.
Everybody had a great time in Vegas. I went to Vegas a couple years ago, and then I was able to go to Chicago. That was fun.
Well, we've just been out of sync on when we're going, and I'm not okay with that anymore. We just need to sync up. Yeah. Okay, so we're halfway through the WNBA season, and I'm looking at the standings, and there's a really interesting aspect, something that I just noticed. It's a 12-team league. 6 of the teams are on win streaks. 6 of the teams are on losing streaks. Now, granted, Washington's on a 1-game win streak, sitting in 4th place. I mean, they are just dangling by a string in that 4th place team spot. Blah. But let me just run down the standings as of today, as of before we enter the second half of this season. Okay, we got Las Vegas at number 1, New York 2 games back at number 2, Connecticut number 3, 1 game behind New York. They also have played 2 more games. Keep that in mind. not everyone's played the same amount of games. Washington at 4, tied with Atlanta, and Dallas at 6, at 11 and 9. Keep in mind, Washington and Atlanta 11 and 8, so right around that same spot. And then we enter the other half of this league. Minnesota Lynx on a 2-game losing streak. Chicago 8th place, 3-game losing streak. The Sparks a 6-game losing streak, and they're sitting at 7 and 13 in 9th place. Indiana 5 and 15 have still not gotten over the 6-game hump. For those who aren't aware, that's how many games they won last year. They have not won 6 or more in a while now. They're on an 8-game losing streak. Just a complete pitfall. If they don't, there's been like, I've read it. If any of our listeners are on WNBA Reddit, WNBA Twitter, WNBA Facebook, I've been seeing the Indiana Fever fans talking about this. They just need to get over it. It's wild. Just don't let them lose on out. Phoenix is 4 and 15, and then in last place, 4 and 16, Seattle Storm on a 7-game losing streak. So LA Sparks 6-game losing streak, Indiana 8-game, and Seattle 7-game, while as the Atlanta Dream, owners of the best win streak in the league at 6.
Right.
How anything shocked? I mean, I feel like coming into the season, if I'm going to say anything has shocked me, it's how bad Phoenix has been. Everything else is kind of the same.
I agree. I mean, I think I felt like there would be a little bit more there, like just more.
You have BG back, and you're worse than before. Yeah. And like, I understand, there was a little bit, Skylar like put that team on her back, and I don't know. They have just been a conundrum.
There's no reason Phoenix doesn't have the same record as like a Chicago Sky or Minnesota Lynx, in my opinion. I'm not talking about being up there with the contenders. We didn't really predict that. But being in that middle of the pack, the 7, the 8s, still a losing record, 8 and 12, 7 and 13. But to be 4 and 15, I agree. I've been really underwhelmed. And clearly, so is the organization when you make a change mid-season. I mean, it's that's surprising to me. But I think when you look at the rest of the teams, when we talked about before the season began, what we were projecting this to kind of look like, Chicago's kind of settled into the team that I thought they would be. Mm-hmm. They're at that 8 spot. For LA to be on a 6-game losing streak is interesting to me, with the talent on that roster. Granted, I know they're dealing with injuries. Everybody's dealing with injuries. We know that. LA really has been one that's really been hindered on it. I'm just surprised that they're, like on such a streak. I thought they'd maybe win one, lose a couple. Win one, lose a couple.
The fact that it's been 6 losses, I agree with you. The fact that they haven't been able to pull one of those out, I will say some early giant blown leads, I think has kind of hindered this season. I don't know if it's fair to say like 2 games, 3 games can throw a team off its swag, off its kind of style. You know what I'm talking about, Rachel? Because like it's not like they're not looking like a horrible team, and to what we're both saying of like, it's shocking to see them on a 6-game losing streak, but I look at it and I think they had that dog, that fight in them. Mm-hmm. And then when you blow like multiple 20-point leads, 19-point leads, it kind of gets to the point where like you're winning, but at any point it could all go to shit.
Right.
And just to be blunt.
Well, and I mean, at this point we're halfway through. Are we actually halfway through? I don't know. I know everybody.
Yeah. Well, so some teams are 22 games. Some teams are like, we're around the halfway point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be saying that for a couple weeks now. But okay. So halfway point.
No, I mean, every team is either at 19 or more games.
I think Fever to lose 8 in a row is a little shocking, like
that's tough too.
I mean, that's just tough. I think that this team is better than that record. I think that, they're not a complete organization right now in everything, whether it's learning or youth or whatever. I mean, I'm a little surprised by that, but shoot, we're getting to the point where, okay, you've got a couple months left. Like, who wants to be in the lottery? Because I sure as hell do, but like, how does that's my, like, I would love to, the players don't think about that stuff. The front offices think about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like
players don't tank, front offices do.
We talk about who's in the race in contention, and we can talk about here in a second. That's obviously pretty easy for everybody at this point. But who's in
Rachel,
the race?
I put money down.
You put money down on what?
On a team to win the finals.
Oh,
can you believe that?
Who did you put down?
We'll get to that in a moment. Okay. So over the last 10 games, another interesting tidbit, just some basic numbers for you. 7 teams in the league have a winning record in the last 10 games, and that's the 1 through 7. Minnesota and Dallas 6-4, along with Washington sitting at 6-4, Atlanta and Connecticut at 7-3, Vegas and New York 9-1 and 8-2, and then you got Chicago 3-7, Sparks 2-8. Like, that's rough.
Yeah.
Indy 1-9, right? Phoenix 2-8. That, like, honestly, for them, that's pretty good. Seattle 1-9. That's rough. Okay, let's talk contenders, because for me, it's kind of like, all right, we know Minnesota, Chicago, LA, Indy are gonna fight for that playoff spot, or that playoff / bubble spots, right? And then Dallas, Atlanta, Washington, Connecticut, New York, and Vegas are the teams that, in my mind at least, are like solid, are going to be playoff teams.
Who are the disruptors? Who are the dark horses that are not in that top 3, but at any night, say they catch lightning in a bottle, and then they start clicking and they start playing really, really well. To me, it's the Dallas Wings. I think Atlanta has really come on. They're starting to really know how to win games when it gets deep into the season and they're playing in a series, against Connecticut or against the Aces. Do I think they can pull that out? Probably, maybe not. I mean, I don't have them at that point, but Dallas is a team I think that could be disruptive and knock somebody out early on. Do you disagree?
When you say disruptive, I think of Washington and Dallas. Washington only because if healthy, I think they could have those nights where they can beat any team in this league.
I don't know.
I agree, Dallas.
I'm
not high on Washington either. But here's the thing: if they're healthy, 9 out of 10 times they're not going to, as we've seen this season. They are a frustrating team, but the reason they're frustrating is because we all know deep down they have every single tool you need to be the best team in this league, and they aren't utilizing it. They aren't performing. They're not moving without the ball. It's extremely frustrating. We could go on a 3-hour rant about Washington.
Well, and part of you's got to wonder, okay, season 1 is done. We're now entering season 2. We're past the All-Star break. Some teams are a little banged up. People are focused on getting healthy. But now it comes down to starting to play your best basketball at the right moments. It's always about positioning yourself for the playoffs and playing your best basketball in the right moment. Do you think a team like Washington can peak right at playoff time and go win it all?
I have no confidence in them to pull off like more than a 5-game streak. So no, but that said, no, like, here's my thing.
I guess I should digress because, like, I mean, they have the talent. We've seen
they have the talent. Atkins, just announcing Atkins is going to be injured for 2 weeks, and they'll reevaluate that ankle. First of all, they cannot catch a break. It feels like everyone on that team has had an ankle injury this year. Yeah. Their trainer needs to start taping up their ankles, put some floaties on the ankles or something. What you said about Atlanta is really interesting. I think Atlanta is the only team in this league I view as a solid team. They're the only team in this league that I'm like, I'm not thinking about you. I'm not thinking about you in a lottery bubble. I'm not thinking about you as maybe a playoff team. In my mind, they're a solid playoff team. They're not a contender. They're not going to compete against the contenders, but they're a solid team. They're going to play good basketball, and they're striding right. Could they become more? Maybe. But I just think they're like kind of set at this 5-6 seed, and if Washington slips,
they play well together. They're coached really, really well. They're playing hard. I agree.
But they have a ceiling.
You don't put Dallas in that category?
So Dallas, I got $10 on Dallas, baby. Oh. I got $10 on Dallas. Let's go, LT. Okay. Let's go. Well, all right. Hear me out. I put $10 down on Dallas. If Dallas wins the finals, I'm $1,000 richer.
Okay. They have the firepower. I guess I don't hate it. If you're
Come on,
gonna
that's a big payout. That's a big payout for $10.
I totally agree. It's totally that's a safe one. I mean,
that was a pre-All-Star bet too.
I don't hate that. I actually might jump on and get in on that.
That's what I'm saying. So here's my thing. My bookie, Danny Barlavi, my bookie. Here's my no, because I can't do the app betting in DC or whatever.
Right.
So yeah, and also I don't understand it either, so I have to have like other people dumb it down for me. So here's my thing with Dallas. Atlanta, we know the ceiling is not beating Vegas in a finals. Dallas, I believe, I know, call me crazy, call me whatever. Dallas, I believe, if everything is firing on all cylinders, the addition of Odyssey Sims, the depth of Crystal Dangerfield, Veronica Burton, a walk in having Kalani and Tierra McCowan having the speed, right? They can bang down low. They can do things New York is going to be uncomfortable about, right? They can do things Vegas is going to be uncomfortable about, things that Connecticut wanted to do to be that disruptor. They have the shooting ability from Satu. They have the shooting ability from Aryeh. I honestly fully believe it comes down to, can they fully commit themselves to LT's defensive structure? And two, can Aryeh just remove 5 of those dumb shots a game? Because here's the thing. I keep thinking back to, there was this one game, I'm blanking on who they were playing, came down to, maybe it was Vegas, comes down, maybe it was New York, comes down to the last minute. Aryeh is at the top of the key, maybe it was even DC. Aryeh is at the top of the key, gives it to Satu. Satu has a pretty good look. Aryeh had a similar look. I always want the last shot going to Aryeh, but every other shot I want going to Satu. That's basically my rant.
Yeah,
not every shot, but
I think you have an X factor in such a high level competitor and winner and clutch player, who I think has yet to hit her peak of clutchness. And we can talk about shot selection and like what that,
she hasn't had an opportunity, Rachel.
Efficiency, but like Aryeh, to me, is the main reason. Well, and obviously the host Satu and the host of, you know, a lot of really good players on that team, is why I think they can go, you know, be disruptive. And you could see a potential final of a Dallas and Las Vegas. That's not that outlandish of a thought. You know, if this team clicks and they really tighten some things up and they fine tune some of those maybe shot selections, the defensive end of the floor, they commit themselves to being consistent on the glass. Like, yeah, I'm totally with you on that one.
I mean, look, obviously it's New York and Vegas is everyone's favorites. And even I think the betting odds, it was something crazy. Like you put down $10 and that it wouldn't be Vegas or New York to win the finals, and you would only win like $75 or something crazy like that, which was not enough in my mind. Because like for me, it's really the real ones are Connecticut, New York, and Vegas. Now we question without Bree Jones.
That hurts.
That hurts because that was a big mismatch. Like to me, it's all about the mismatch. We're going long on this. I apologize.
No,
I know
you're
busy.
Good. You're good. It's a breath of fresh air to like leave all the other stuff I'm doing this time of year and talk basketball. So I'm actually good. I'm happy with it.
I just think that like Dallas had like, here's my thing with Aryeh. We haven't seen her hit that clutch factor because she hasn't had opportunities in the W because the team's never been good enough.
True, that's true.
Now we have Satu growing. We have Natasha Howard's speed and athleticism. You have beasts in the paint, and you have guards who know how to play pick and roll and to shoot. And
well, they're not a one-dimensional team. They're not a one-dimensional team. You know, you've got to pick your poison when everybody else is playing really, really well, and they've played really, really well as of late.
Now, that said, it's Vegas's to lose. Vegas is far in between. Like, let me be clear to anyone listening who thinks we don't like Vegas or we're talking about these other teams too much. Like, here's my thing. The beauty and the enjoyment is talking about like the competition, who could, what could, you know, all that jazz. Right now, we all know what Vegas is. We know they're the top dogs. We know they're the best team. They are on a different tier. The only question in my mind is, can somebody compete and push them to where it's not just a Vegas sweeping through the playoffs with 0 losses? Because that's not as fun in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Another thing we didn't talk about, new news. You've been in Europe. I've been running all my events and covering events in Europe. We haven't talked about Unrivaled. What are your thoughts about the
Oh yeah.
Unrivaled League? That's some big news. How do we not at least mention that?
So that's really, it's really, yeah. Sorry, I don't know how we
I'm
didn't.
switching gears on you because it's been a minute, so
Maybe
we got to talk
really
about all
caught me off guard. I like haven't even thought of. No, I think it's really really cool. I think it's exciting. I think like end of the day, any more opportunities I get to see WNBA players play basketball at reasonable hours, I'm gonna say hell yes to. Any opportunity I get for the players of the league that I love to be healthier and stateside for the start of the season, making money and be in market, that's better for us as media members because we get to cover them easier. It's better for them as players because they get to be by their family.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what it means.
Yeah.
Like what the style of play, where the funding is. Are they looking for GMs? Because you and I would love to get our toes wet in the GM game. I guarantee any league, I guarantee, give me 5 years, I will bring you a championship.
Oh, good God! All right, Mr. Aaron.
I will put money down that if you give Rachel and I a team, an expansion team, give us 5 years, I guarantee a WNBA championship.
Wow,
that's anybody. The confidence I have.
That might be,
I'm not talking $10
that might
for
be one of the
1,000.
most outlandish things I've ever heard you say. But hey, I love the confidence, man. Love the confidence.
No, because we would know the right people to bring on. We got some people that are just waiting in the wings for when we take over to join our staff. So for everyone who's questioning Pick 'em, I believe I'm still beating. Wait, what are your thoughts on Unrivaled?
I mean, I was fortunate enough to get a lot of information beforehand, and really exciting, and was fun to really read up on it and educate myself on it. There's still a lot of questions, I think, like funding and investors, things like that I think are unanswered, but I love the idea of it. I think we're in an era where different innovative leagues are popping up all over sports. I mean, golf, it's everywhere. So I think that it's awesome. I mean, the moment the league put prioritization in action, that changes everything for the good or the bad. I think prioritization. God, we could have a whole freaking show on that, but that hinders a lot of players. That hinders a lot of players' ability to put all their eggs in one basket and no guarantee to make a roster spot in the WNBA and then forego potential earnings overseas. So it's hard. It's not an easy time to be, one of those middle tier players in the league and try and figure out how you're going to make your income playing this game. So it's interesting to kind of think about prioritization, but I love the idea from Collier and Stewie. I'm excited to learn more about it. I'm excited to see where it can go. Is this something that is sustainable for the long run? But I mean, like you said, I mean, more opportunities for players to be here and rest their bodies. I think that's the aspect of Unrivaled that I like the most, is being able to have 3 months of rest. The season, is a 10-week season, and it takes place for the first year or two in one location. With plans from that to kind of evolve and grow. But I think that the ability for players to not have to travel and be in crazy time zones and be closer to home and still have that. I think the biggest thing about it that continues to be pushed is the marketing and the brand development and the content that can be created from that, and players being able to enhance their brand and be seen visibly in their market, to me, is the biggest thing.
Yeah. No, I very much agree with that. I'm excited because I just want to see more opportunities,
right.
more leagues stateside puts pressure on the W to be better.
Yeah, exactly. This puts a lot of pressure on the WNBA.
That's what I'm saying. That's the good thing. As I was saying, everyone who's curious about Pick 'em, I believe I'm still winning by actually, I think, I'm still winning by 2 as I do quick numbers. Oh, yeah, no. Yeah, I'm up by 3. Sorry, Rachel.
Ooh.
I'm up by 3, but it's okay. We still got half a season. We got 4 games for Pick 'em this slate.
Let's do it.
Minnesota versus Atlanta.
Ooh. I like that matchup. Both teams. I don't know. I mean, it's hard coming off a break too. Like, how do you respond? Right. I'm gonna go Atlanta. I mean, it's literally
Atlanta, good, because I think Atlanta wins it because I think they're just hitting a next level, but I also think there's something about getting a little rest time. Minnesota really pissed at how they ended things, and also having feet come out of All-Star break, I think is going to be motivated. So I'm going Minnesota. You're going ATL. That's cool. We got Sun at Mercury. I think we're both going Sun.
I know I'm down, so I got to make some gambles here. But then I also gamble too much, and I get down more. I'm going Sun.
Okay, cool. Fever at, that's what happened to me last year. It's a tricky beast. Fever at Mystics.
Man, it's like the injuries right now with Washington.
Supposedly Shakira and EDD are like coming back. Who knows how exactly healthy
are they back or are they not?
Atkins is out now. They're questionable, but expected to be back. I'm gonna be honest here. I think the Fever they finally get.
I was gonna go Fever.
Okay, cool. I'll let you go Fever if you want them.
I think that they need this win. They need this win, and that's one that they can get.
Agreed. Wings at Liberty.
Ooh, now that is the game, an early game. Both of those days, 9:30 in the morning. Well, Mountain Time, everybody. So, early games on Wednesday. That's a tough one. Okay, that's gonna be a really good game. I gotta put that on the phone. God, I don't know. I'm gonna go New York.
Yeah, I think Sabrina is going to have I honestly think the Liberty are going to have a nice streak.
We just
I also
an episode talking about how good Dallas can be, and then we're gonna.
Oh no, I picked Wings.
Okay,
I'm fully in on this. I'm fully in on this.
Right.
But I want to see them. With them, it's consistency. That's the real question.
Yep.
I'm going to be interested. Do these teams, do Connecticut, do New York, and do the Mystics, try and make, and maybe even Dallas. I don't think Dallas would, but do those teams that are right under the Vegas tier try and make a move to close in right before the August 7th trade deadline? Would I be shocked? No. There's some teams I got my eyes on, Rachel.
Are you talking about some movement? Because I definitely think it's possible.
Yes, 100%. 100%. But we'll save that. We'll tease that for the next episode. As always, Rachel, remind me, who's your GOAT?
Pickle.